We love you. This is a Wisconsin murder back in 2016. His name is George Burch. George Burch was placed at a location at 3:54 a.m. on the morning of the 21st of May, 2016, when Burch was dumping the body of Nicole Van der Hayden in Bellevue farm field. Oh yes, guys. Technology. Google dashboard. Yes, guys, Google dashboard. They say this would probably been able to tell whether he was rushing the net or waiting in the backcourt for the fast serve. Yes, that's what they said. That's what they said. Now, he killed this young lady, and he also was convicted. She was 31 years old. Now, she lived in Ledgeview, and the disposing of her body in a field off of Hoffman Road, Bellevue. This murder was massive. The trial was 9 days, and it was a hardship on her family and very tough on others. But technology played a big part in this investigation, and that is not even including the DNA that was found. So the detectives used Burch's cellular phone and Google dashboard, and they tracked his locations. And this was all the key on figuring out exactly where he went on the morning Van der Hayden's murder and how he did fit in this. The forensics, using his mobile phone and the towers, the wireless network system and GPS information to track phone users and locations and time. So you know, guys, we all got that on our phones. You can turn it off or you can keep it on. It tracks your location wherever you're going at a given time. If you have that on, you're going to be tracked. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but it's a bad thing if you think you're going to commit murder. And it all happens in the background as different networks. Google placed this guy near Nicole's home. And we know that the murder scene was in her home because there was presence of blood, and the cord used to strangle Nicole. And this was happening at 3:04 in the morning. The Dater placed Birch roughly about 357 feet in either direction. But they say he could have been in the house, on the street, or in the neighbor's yard. So that's how close he was at that time to Nicole's home. And 3 minutes earlier, the wireless network data on a different Wi-Fi equipment placed George in the same area, but 233 feet. Just a little bit different, but not much. And then things improved when George Birch got into Hoffman Road at Vanda Hayden's body, with her body. The signals were strong enough to place him with a 32.8 foot margin. And when he got into the farm field itself, the data at 5:58 a.m. placed him in a circle with a 9.84 foot radius. So he's real close to the body where the body was found. And that's the data. It's really great data, and Google Maps, locations, they will get you. They will get you in the end. Now that's good for people that may be lost, don't know where they are, don't know the name of the street. That's very good for, people like that. But not good if you have just committed murder. And so that's that. On that, parks automatically offer their services to pass in cellular phones that might happen to want them. And it all gets recorded. Like we know that. And the murder scene. George Birch. This case happened in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Nicole Vander Hayden was killed, brutally killed. She was beaten and strangled in her home. He's 40 years old at the time. This death happened, like I said, on May the 21st, 2016. When he went to court, is 9 days trial, but his conviction carries a automatic life sentence. But the judge had to decide if he was to give him the possibility of parole. So it was up to this judge. It's an automatic life sentence, but he has the authority to allow him parole, in 25 years or 40 years. He did say, what if this was a death penalty state? Yes, he asked himself that. He said, would this be the kind of case, given the facts, that would justify a death penalty? And the judge said, yes. And on that note, Mr. George Burch, you have to die in prison. Oh yes, what a kind judge he was. So he sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, because this man deserved to die in prison. And that's exactly what he got. So the family were very, very happy and relieved about that. And of course, as it goes, he has appeals, but this case was an automatic life sentence. So who knows how that goes. And as George was read his sentence, he sat in his chair and he kind of rocked back and forth, and the judge was telling him this murder was brutal, most brutal, and the murder committed by one person in the history of Brown County. So I guess they've never seen the likes of that in Brown County. Seems that it's a nice small town. Nothing much happens, but it doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter where you live. There's murder. Comes a knocking. They said she was already dead or dying when George Burch either stomped on her head or kicked her. That's what the judge said. He said, how angry do you have to be to stomp on somebody's head and kick her so hard while she was dead or dying? And then Burch went fishing the very next day. He went fishing, according to his testimony in the trial. And the judge said, that isn't human. You just, he just killed somebody brutally, threw her in the field, and then went merrily on his way and went fishing. He didn't hide out. He didn't stay at home. He went fishing. And this monster doesn't deserve to live, much less be eligible for parole. That was a statement. That was a letter from somebody. When they addressed him after he was sentenced. There is no place in society for an animal like you, said Nicole's father, Steve. Nicole Vander Hayden's live-in boyfriend. His mother spoke in court for her son Douglas. She believed experienced hate for the first time, and I don't like it. Birch, George Birch, knew she had children. He just didn't care. He has no soul. George took Nicole's life, but he also damaged many lives in the act, robbing Nicole's children of their mother and ruining Douglas's life, his reputation, by trying to pin the murder on him. And then, of course, she says, and you went fishing knowing you've just brutally murdered a mother who will never see her children again. And Douglas, her living boyfriend, did go to court to watch the sentencing, but he did not speak. Instead, he submitted a statement that the district attorney read aloud. In the statement, he spoke of the difficulty he will have someday having to explain to his little boy and why his mother is no longer here. He is a monster, and she's rot in prison for the rest of his life. That's what Douglas wrote. That was in his statement. He is the father of her child, and he asked the judge to give him the same mercy he showed Nicole. None. So he asked the judge not to give him no mercy. And then, aside from ordering life in prison without parole, the judge ordered that George Birch not be able to profit from any book, movie about this case. Any proceeds from such a thing would have to go to Nicole Vander Hayden's family. That's great. So he cannot profit, he cannot write a book, he can't do nothing, he won't get out of jail, he's serving life in prison, no possibility of parole, so he's there for life. He's 40 years old, was at the time this happened a couple of years ago, and he has served life without the possibility of parole. So guys, what's your thoughts on this one? Let's have a little discussion, and thank you for stopping by. This is Nicole's live-in boyfriend, Douglas. The murderer was trying to pin the crime on him. If it wasn't for Google dashboard, he may well be serving life in prison for a murder he didn't commit. So the right man is in prison. The right man will serve the rest of his miserable life in a Wisconsin prison for brutally murdering Nicole and throwing her body away in a field, blaming Douglas. And he nearly got away with it. He nearly got away with it. Yes, he nearly did. But Douglas is free now. But for a while there, they were all looking at him. And like he said, his reputation was ruined until proven that he was not the murderer. So guys, let's have a little discussion and your thoughts on the case, and what do you think about Google dashboard? You know, location, location, location. And thanks for stopping by.